all here. And so I'd like to start with a joke. Guy's walking by a house with a sign that says, talking dog for sale. So he goes in and the owner takes him back to the dog. The guy sits down with the dog and says, so tell me about your life. And the dog says, well, I started out as a rescue dog in the Alps. I served in Iraq. And now I spend my time reading to the elderly. Guy turns to the owner and says, why would you want to get rid of a dog like that? The owner says, because he lies. None of that is true. Point A. Wow, this thing is just like making all kinds of noise, huh? Is that because I'm up? No? All right, turn that off, try this one. Is this better? All right, better is better. Okay. Keep your fingers out of the gears. What do I mean by that? Keeping your fingers out of the gears. It means that we are a race of people who like to quickly do, even if it's spinning our wheels, even if it's not getting us anywhere, we just feel better when we do something instead of nothing, instead of waiting for what could be the right move to make. By digging in a little deeper and trusting that the right move is going to show up. The right thing to do is going to show up. But you got to be willing to trust. So in a lot of ways, this talk, the point of this talk is really about trust. Trusting in the good in life. Trusting in the good in your life. Trusting in the good that can rise up out of any situation and being willing to allow that good to show itself before you go and try to make it. Getting your fingers in the gears, which may have things work out, but I promise you not as well as they could have. Now, how do I know that? Because miracles happen when we allow spirit, that spirit inside us, to rule, take over, that bigger part of ourselves. But we get so afraid, anxious, needing things to get done, so we usually, many times, take action before it's time. And then we look at it afterwards, maybe I'm the only one this has ever happened to, and go, why did I waste my time doing that? Anybody else have an experience like that? Never. My son recently got very sick. And so he went to the doctors in Santa Barbara, at the hospital in Santa Barbara, to get himself checked out. And we had seen him a week earlier, and he didn't look that great. And when I went up to pick him up after his tests up in Santa Barbara, he looked like he could die any second. He had no color. He was down to under 100 pounds. He looked horrible. What he said to me was, I don't want your help, Dad. I need to do this myself. Now, my son is 28, or is 28 today. And so when an adult says to me, back off, I'm taking care of this, I do. I got calls from every one of my siblings and friends saying, what are you doing? You're a parent. You should be there. Sometimes a parent needs to interject, needs to go, needs to take over, needs to take care of things. So do you got taking care of your child. That would have been getting my fingers in the gears. But by knowing the truth and trusting, which isn't easy when you see your son looking like maybe he's only got a couple of days to live. I mean, talk about abandoning the truth in their hour of need is to not understand the truth. Well, here was my moment. Looking at my son as he's telling me, I don't want you stepping in here. I'm going to take care of this. So I dropped him off where he asked me to drop him off, and I drove back home, and I said to my wife, I need to get out of town. I can't just sit here. I need to somehow find my center, and best to do it in the woods. So with my son sick as a dog in Santa Barbara, Ash and I, after church last Sunday, went up to Idlewild. I get calls from my brother going, what are you doing? You need to be there. You need to be there. You need to interject yourself. And I'm like, no. I got to trust, because that's what we teach here. And this was hard. I mean, this was really hard, which is why sitting at home and doing it was like not even possible for me. So we go up to Idlewild, and I go out into the woods, which is what I love to do, just sitting in the woods. And I'm sitting there looking at the most extraordinary view when my phone rings, which I didn't even think was possible because I was so far out there, as far as I could tell, there was no cell service, and it's my son. And he goes, Dad, I'm really scared. I need your help. I'd like you to talk to the doctors because it sounds like after all the tests they've done, now that I am admitted into the hospital, that they don't know what's going on. Well, I got up and beelined it off that mountain. Got a hold of that doctor, found out that actually they did know what was wrong with him, and as far as they were concerned, they had fixed it. So he was going to get better, and he just didn't get it. So we jumped into the car, drove back to Los Angeles. I dropped her off, and then I drove up to San Luis Obispo, which is the hospital he was in. He had done his test in Santa Barbara, but he admitted himself into San Luis Obispo, which is 3 hours from here. And Idlewild was 3 hours from here. But it was time for me to move. See, this is what I'm saying. It's not as if we don't take action. We just sit around and pray. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is when the moment comes to act. And even if the act you need to take sounds crazy, like driving 3 hours from Idlewild to Los Angeles and then another 3 hours up to San Luis Obispo, if it's time to act, you will have every resource you need to do that. That resource that maybe you didn't think you have will show up if what you're doing is waiting for the perfect and right time to act and trusting that the perfect and right time will be there. So I drive up there, and my son, he's awake when I get there. And I sit him down and I tell him what's going on, and he has in a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, and uncertain that what I'm telling him is true. But I know it's true. I know that they actually found what was wrong with him and fixed it, and that he was just still hurting because the doctor said very clearly it's going to take time to recuperate from this. Now, the thing about it is of course, the first thing I did after leaving my son on that day in Santa Barbara was, of course, go into prayer, because that's what we do here. So I treated like crazy for his highest and best, his health and well-being. So I was not surprised when the doctor said how it got fixed was all by itself and they didn't really have to do anything, and all the drugs they had put on him didn't work at all. I was not surprised when they said that actually he came in here with a very bad situation that cleared itself up in the 3 days he was here. But we'll leave him with pain for a while, and it's going to be difficult recovery. Not difficult as such in terms of like, just take time. I mean, he's down in under 100 pounds. In the meantime, I am talking to his mother. Her and I have not spoken in over a decade. But she calls me out of the blue and wants to talk about Isaac, my son. And so we get into this conversation that actually heals a whole mess of stuff around between her and I and around our son. So he's not the only one that's getting healed. The whole situation is getting healed. Because I didn't take action until it was time to take it. And so I'm there with Isaac. We're working out because they're about to discharge him, and he's scared as all get out, thinking, why are you discharging me? I still feel horrible. And I'm reassuring him that actually he's now on his way to recovery, and these are the things the doctor said to do, which had more to do with his diet than any pills or drugs they wanted to give him. And I helped set him up in where he's going to stay. And then his mother decides she's going to fly in and actually spend the week with him to help him recuperate. She's there with him now. And I spoke to him today on his birthday, and he said he had never felt better in his life. He said, I don't get it, Dad. I'm under 100 pounds. I mean, I don't think he still is, because he said his strength is coming back. He's starting to recuperate. He feels so deeply loved and cared for, and he's been getting along with his mom, who he doesn't always get along with all that well. They've been getting along famously. He has his plans for what he's doing next, and he's moving forward in an excellent way. And I am just certain that I had a huge part in that simply by trusting and not acting before it was time to do so. As scary as it was. You know, that's the thing about some situations. They can feel so scary. And yet, I am here to tell you that there is a deeper way of trusting in life. There is a deeper way of being that we can all rise to when we're willing to look our fear in the face and then do whatever it takes to do that. Like for me, it was getting out of town. Honestly, I could have never pulled that off. Thank God to my wife and her willingness to go with me to Idlewild so that I could get out in the woods so I could get a hold of myself. I don't think I could have done it here. So sometimes you need to, but I knew that was the thing to do, right? It really came to me. What I need to do is go there to get a hold of myself. So we did that. When it comes to you, as crazy it may seem, or out of the norm of, well, you've got all these responsibilities. I need to be here and do this. I need to be here and do that. Well, when all that kind of stuff starts to get to you, and it's really, so sometimes the listening and the willingness to follow that voice that knows the truth for you, inside you, that's bigger than you, that's right there to work with you. We use the word God around here a lot. I really like that word because it's so darn simple. Then I don't have to do 3 sentences to explain what I'm talking about. But I don't care what you call it. It's just an inner power that's within us that is there for every single being on the planet, of all types of beings. We are all working together towards an evolution that is growing within each of us, that can bring love forth, that can open our hearts to a better, higher way of being on this planet. But to trust in that is sometimes so hard. And yet, it is the key to the unfoldment of the miraculous. If you want to experience beyond the ordinary, if you want to experience beyond the day-to-day mundane, then you got to get your fingers out of the gears. You got to trust that there is a greater way of being on this planet. And in this greater way of being, we don't have to think things through. We don't have to have strategic plans that show step by step. We can do it that way. I know people who are very successful through using their strategic plans, making sure that they've covered all the bases when they're thinking things through, get all their ducks in a row. And yet, the amount of energy and tension and stress and focus called for to live that way can kill you. Or instead, if you relax and let go into the trust that's possible, your health will flourish. Mine gets better all the time. I'm just astounded at each step of the way as I let go of what I think needs to happen to allow what will happen, what will show itself for me. It just builds my health. It builds my energy. It builds my well-being. We did 40 movies over something like 45 weeks. And then it was time for a rest. Now, I got to be honest, at first, when we stopped, I got scared. I actually got scared. I'm like, we can't stop. We have to keep going. We're building momentum. And then, once again, I thought, I need to trust in this. I need to trust that this, there's a rhythm to this, and it will pick up again because we actually love making movies. So, of course, we'll start doing them again. And then, sure enough, a really funny idea came in me that we're going to be filming next week. We won't have that movie for you next Sunday, but we'll have it for you the week after. Reverend Susie's running the show next week. I'm going back up to the woods. There's a way of being in the world. There's a way we can feel ourselves in life if we can get past. I'm talking to you from a place, just for transparency purposes, just so you know. I grew up with my default being worry and anxiety. I was anxious about everything, and I was always worried. Now, I was lucky in the sense that they never stopped me from doing stuff. I could feel my worry, I could feel my anxiety and my anxiousness, and somehow I could force myself to do stuff anyway. But I got very sick, was in and out of hospitals, as many of you already know, so I'm not going to go into details about that. But I want you to know, one of the things is I wake up with my wife every morning, and her default is actually to be happy in the morning. She gets out of bed, and she's got a smile on her face, and she's all energetic. I got to lie there for about 15, 20 minutes to get to a place, sometimes longer than that, to get to a place where I get past my defaults. So even after all this time, I still deal with anxiety and worry. There are times I worry about this place. There are times I worry about my relationship with Ash. There are times I worry about my health. And all these things I have to remember to trust. So it doesn't come easy for me, but it's worth it. And that's my point today. That is, no matter how hard it is to get past your worry, to get past your anxiousness, to get past your fear, it's worth it. Because what's on the other side is miraculous. What's on the other side presents life and healing and love and wonder in a way that not living that way just doesn't. You can still be successful and make money and have a good life, but there's more to life than that. There's just more. And it's on the other side of worry. It's on the side of trust. The more we work with these principles that we teach here, the more we allow ourselves to rise in the trust that whatever is going on, the actions we need to take will show itself at the perfect and right time. And hanging in there will allow that to rise, will allow that to show itself, so that we can be sitting around going, that's a miracle. Wow, I never expected that. That's a miracle. That's amazing. Wow. That's what we have here for life, is to still at any age, at any time, no matter what the circumstance, to experience, wow, that's amazing. And that's what I know for each and every one of you here. I love you. Thank you. All right. This is a time of our program where we pray on somebody. And we stand here until somebody has the courage to walk up here and get prayed on. Now, many of you would like to be out of here in 10 minutes. What it will take is somebody willing to come on up here. Come on. Because when you have the courage to let us pray on you, everybody here experiences a healing. So what you're doing is allowing everyone to feel that sense of goodness. Ralph, come on down. Let us know what you want us to pray for.
Well, I've got kids that are issues that are very dependent and unwilling to learn how to drive or do anything that would break that dependence. And we'd like to have them, I'd like to know how to coax them off of their duffs.
All right, let's get 8 to 10 folks up here. Turn around the other way, turn towards the... All right. And as we do here, we start within our own hearts. Everybody take a deep breath, close your eyes, and relax. And feel that healing presence within you, within your own heart. Know for yourself that healing, loving presence. And now feel it expand through your whole body, that sense of love, healing. That energy essence of life itself. And now let it expand so you can feel the presence through the whole room. Feel the presence through our spiritual family right here, right now. And now we send that energy through Ralph so that he may know trust. He may know clarity. Send that healing, loving energy through Ralph. So that he may know the Spirit, the oneness, the Godness in all. So that his next step in supporting these kids is perfect, complete, divine. And I am so grateful for the power and presence of this spiritual family, for the power and presence of who Ralph is, and the loving, healing energy that fires up his cells to a place of knowing trust and perfect and right action. I am so grateful for the goodness and love of this community, this spiritual family. As we all say together, and so it is. All right. All right. Power and presence of our community. I love it. All right. Take out what you're going to give. Hold it in your hand. Unfold it. The key here is to unfold it. Doesn't matter whether it's $1, $10, $100, deeds of property, gold mines, diamond mines. Does not matter. Unfold it. The power and the presence is right here, right now. As we all say together, God is the source of all supply. Money is God in action. What I give, I receive multiplied abundantly. All that God is, I am, and so it is.